Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 13th of May and I welcome you to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the newspaper, all the articles along with the background and the way forward we are going to see. And I would like to tell you that you can also download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, starting up, first of all, let's see the overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. So here we are taking the Delhi edition for the overview. Now, the first article, inflation slips to an 18-month low of 4.7%. So basically, guys, when we talk about the inflation is the general price rise. And when we talk about the inflation in India, there is monetary policy committee whose mandate is to keep inflation in the band of 4% plus minus 2%. That is, inflation needs to be between 2 to 6%. 2 to 6%. Okay. Now, this formula was given by the Urjit Patel committee, and we see that now the inflation is at 4.7%, which is in a comfortable range. However, the inflation was a very big problem since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Why? Because during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of fiscal stimulus was given by the government. Because of that particular thing, money supply actually increased and the inflation became a very big problem. But now the inflation is coming to a control. Okay, so this is a retail inflation. However, you are not required to go and track the month by month data with respect to the inflation, that how much level it went. Then all these things fine are not required. Now moving to the next one, Hindenburg case, Supreme Court may give 3 months to SEBI to finish probe. So guys, we have seen the Hindenburg report that was released. Now Hindenburg is a short seller who had said that the Adanis, they have been accused for stock price manipulation, accounting manipulation was there. So the SEBI committee was constituted and it has been given 3 more months time to give its report. Nothing more important in this particular article. So you are not required to go too much in detail here for the examination. Okay, so just the headlines are more than sufficient. Then moving on, we have these advertisements, not important for the exam anyhow. Then the city section, high voltage drama in Delhi, then these advertisements, all the things have been given. So okay, so directly we will skip it and we will move on. Okay, so yes, we come to now editorial section. So in editorial section, the first article, welfare spending, we'll see this particular article. So this article contains the data with respect to the welfare spending of the government, that whether it has increased or whether it has decreased. Then further moving on, asymmetry power. Now this particular article, guys, is actually talking about the yesterday's judgment that has been delivered by the Supreme Court with respect to who will control the bureaucrats in Delhi. We'll take this particular article. Then below we have this article, diagnostic imaging of the Rajasthan Right to Health Act. Now guys, understand, this is an important thing, Rajasthan Right to Health Act, where Rajasthan has come out with the law where the health care cannot be denied even by the private sectors. Now, but this particular article, what it is doing, so basically, Right to Health Act that has been passed, there was an earlier version of the bill of the Rajasthan also. So it is comparing the old version of the bill and the new version of the bill. Article says that even the new version of the bill is tilted in the favor of the doctors, etc., but still they are criticizing it. Fine. So we'll see this particular article also vis-a-vis the exam is concerned. Fine. Welcome initiative, Ayush collaboration with ICMR. We'll see this particular article. Okay. Then guys, this is a ground zero report, tragedy at Tanur. Okay, so this article talks about a recent Kerala incident where a boat capsized, where more than 20 people died. So the article talks about that there are basically the article is giving the details about that particular incident largely. Much of the substance with respect to the exam is not there. So I will not recommend you to go too much in detail in this particular thing. Then further moving on, after that, guys, monitoring pilots Yatra, Supreme Court tells court to not to rely on April 26 order on default bail. Okay, Then guys, further moving on, welfare without discrimination is true secularism, says Modi. Okay, so Prime Minister Modi recently has basically was in Gujarat to inaugurate and lay the foundation stone for the projects. Okay, so there he had said that what is welfare without the discrimination, this is the true secularism. So आपका the सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, so that is the ideology of the government, which is actually which is aligned with the secularism. Okay, then moving to the next page. Okay, a 10 cookie legislator from Manipur demand separate administration. Okay, now guys, we have seen already the Manipur crisis, where we have seen that the Metis who were demanding the ST status, they have come in conflict with the already or the other tribal people from the Manipur. So other tribal, they don't want that the Metis should be given the scheduled tribe status, because they are already politically, demographically, economically, education wise, they are dominant. Okay, so since then there are the protests going on. Okay, you are not required to guys track this everyday details, everyday developments in this particular direction, because those things are not asked in this exam. Then here there is an important article, center prepares a new model prison act. We'll see this particular thing. Then no democracy in West Bengal, political articles. Okay, CBSE result 87.33%, fine, not important for the examination. Cyclone Mocha to be severe but little threat to India, IMD. So guys, so we have seen this thing that in the Bay of Bengal, cyclone Mocha is brewing. Okay, now basically it is said that the cyclone will be severe, but the impact on Indian coastline will not be that much. Okay, now the speed by which the cyclone will be coming, the wind speed, etc., have been given. And guys, one more thing, that as now the monsoons will develop. Okay, so these cyclones will become more, and there will be many more such cyclones that are going to come. Okay, now one more thing guys, that please, you are not required to track every cyclone that is coming, its formation, how. However, the topic of cyclone and all these things are anyhow important for the geography. So this is not a unique event. Fine, every year multiple of these cyclones will come in the monsoon season. Then further moving on, here there is one article, lack of committee against sexual harassment is disquieting. We'll see this particular article for the exam. Then coming to the world page. So in world page guys, we don't have much of the important article. Islamabad High Court grants bail to Imran, fears fighting renews in Gaza. So these are the evolutionary things. Okay, China to send envoy to Ukraine. Okay, then guys, further moving on, manufacturing electricity output drag IIP growth to a 5-month low. Okay, so guys, see, I have told you this many number of times that every month's export import data, inflation, okay, PMI, okay, electricity sector output, manufacturing sector output, fine, you are not required to see that every month where the movement is going on. However, when we talk about the general state of Indian economy, you need to be alert on that particular thing. So here it says that manufacturing electricity output in the IIP, it is to a 5-month low. Then aviation leasing watchdog puts India on watch list for NCLT's go first order. Okay, guys, we have seen earlier also the problems with respect to the aviation sector. There was a one full page article that has come. Just a brief update I want to give you. So basically we have seen that the Go Air has filed for bankruptcy. And when we talk about India's airlines, majority of them don't have their own planes. They take the plane on lease from the other leasing foreign companies. Now what has happened, Go Air has filed for the bankruptcy, and the aircrafts that they have taken on lease, they have been frozen by the NCLT. So the companies who have given them on lease, they want to repossess them back, but they are saying that right now we will not give back the planes. So because of this particular thing, the aviation leasing watchdog agency, it has put India on the watch list, that why you are not returning the aircrafts. Okay, however, for examination, please don't go too much in detail in this particular article. Okay, then guys, risk of US default adds to slowing global economy. So we have yesterday seen this particular issue already. Then corporate trends, etc. we have, and this is the sports page. So this is guys the overview of entire newspaper, and now let's discuss the all these relevant articles one by one in the detail. Now in every class, we start with the GS quotation that you can use to complement your answers in GS 1, 2, 3, 4 or even in essay. Today we'll take the quotation from Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Gandhi ji says that I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary, the evil it does is permanent. Now see, many number of times it is said that the wars are fought to basically the wars are fought to bring democracy, or the wars are being fought for bringing the justice. So when the war is being fought, whenever the violence is happening, that violence can never be justified, because the good that it says will come will only be temporary, and the evil will always be permanent. So in any form, the violence, the war cannot be justified according to Gandhiji. When we talk about Mahatma Gandhi was a pacifist. Pacifist means he never allowed violence, or he was never acceptable to any kind of war. Okay. So this idea you can use in GS paper number 4, ethics, as well as in essay. Now moving on, and let's take the first article for the today. First article today. Then now, so this first article that has come. Fine. First of all, let's read the heading. Center prepares a new Model Prisons Act with focus on reform. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, basically law and order, developmental issues. Okay. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the prisons, prisons are the institutions which aim to reform the individuals who have went on the wrong path. Now, when we talk about India, India is a country of Gandhiji, where Gandhiji said that hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the sin, not the sinner. So there should not be disgust, there should not be disliking towards the person who have done the crime. Fine. Why? Because the person is not wrong. The particular, basically the criminal act that he has done, that criminal act is wrong. The person is not wrong. There is a possibility that we can reform this particular person. And for that particular thing, we have prisons, we have correctional facilities. Okay. But guys, when we see the prisons today prisons have become such institutions where the criminals are becoming more hardened. The prisons today have become the places where the planned crime rackets are going on. Recently you have seen the Tihad jail, where within a jail there was a gangster that was killed by a rival gang. Okay, so these things are going on. So there is an urgent need to reform the prisons in India, and we need a new prison act. Right now, the prison act that we have, fine, there are multiple laws which govern the prison and the prisoners, but all of them are more than, some of them are 130 years old, some of them are 50 years old. So we need to replace them. Now, one more thing, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the prison is a state subject. Prison is a state subject. You might be knowing that in the Constitution of India, we have the 7th schedule. 7th schedule talks about the 3 lists, that is the state list, union list, and the concurrent list. So in the state list, only the state can make the laws. Union list, the center will make the law. On concurrent list, the both can make the law. Yes, in the state list also there are certain conditions when the parliament can make the law, but in general cases, state list means that the state will make the law. So prison is a state subject, so it means that the state will make the law. So therefore, whenever the center wants to come or see, so therefore the center had come out with the Model Prison Act. So center says that we are recommending that this is a Model Prison Act, please you also adopt it. Okay, so these are some of the basic background information, and now let's discuss this particular article in little bit detail. So guys, I have told you that when we talk about the prison and the persons detained in the prison, that comes under the state subject, and right now we have the Prisoner Act of 1894. Okay, so this is a nearly 130-year-old law. Then there is a Prisoner Act of 1900. Okay, this is also a very old law. Then there is the Transfer of Prisoners Act 1950. Okay, so the laws are very old, and actually they are not based on the notion of reformative justice. They are based on to the notion of retribution. They are based on the notion of deterrence. Okay, retribution works on the principle of eye for an eye. Okay, you punched a person, you also need to suffer. That is retribution. Deterrence. Okay, when we talk about the deterrence theory of the punishment, listen this particular dictum very carefully. It is said that you are not stolen, you are not being punished. You are not being punished because you have stolen the sheep. Rather, you are being punished so that no sheep is stolen in the future. So deterrence means that giving such high punishment to a person that you are creating an example out of it, that nobody should do the same crime because so big punishment is given. That is deterrence. So in deterrence, Very much stringent punishment will be there. Retribution is based on the principle of eye for an eye. You had made a person suffer, you also suffer. And then reformation is to change the character of that particular person, so that person realizes the mistake. Now reformation was not the spirit in these particular times. Okay, so now we want to reform the Prison Act. So therefore, the Ministry of Home Affairs have come out with this Model Prison Act 2023, where the focus will be on reformation and rehabilitation of the inmates. Reformation and rehabilitation of the inmates. Now, what are the salient features of this particular model law? So the salient features is that, number one, it talks about that there needs to be, there will be the punishments for prisoners and jail staff if they are using the prohibited items such as the mobile phones in jails. Okay, any other such kind of equipment that is not allowed. Now guys, right now in the prisons there are the mobile phones that are there, cigarettes that are there available. Fine, everything that a person might need is available into the prisons. Okay, and they are being caught, but there are no punishment. So there will be severe punishment for these things. Then there will be the establishment and management of the high security jails. So high security jails will be the ones which will be used to keep the dreaded criminals. Okay, so for them there will be these separate jails. Then there is also the concept of open jail that they have proposed. Now if you are guys following the newspaper analysis regularly, we have seen the concept of open jail also in the Rajasthan. So in Rajasthan they have this open jail where there are no boundary walls, there is no high security. Actually what happens, okay, so there is a kind of a camp type kind of a location. There is no security, no high walls. Prisoners are allowed that okay, they can go into the town, they can do work throughout the entire day, and in evening they should return back. So this open prison is, it is working on the principle of trust. They cannot leave that particular premises, okay, but they can go out for work, they can go out, they can do their routine affairs, all these kind of things. Okay, this is a very successful example in Rajasthan, and recently the Supreme Court judges also visited there. So such open jails will also be explored. Then there will be the provision for protecting the society from the criminal activities of the hardened criminals and the habitual offenders. So there are certain hardened criminals, habitual offenders which regularly go to jail, they come out, fine. So these people, these again, from these people, society needs to be protected. So there will be such provisions that should also be there. Then it also talks about the detailed provision with respect to the legal aid. Now guys, if I just give you the data, right now, in the Indian jails, more than 66% of the people, they are the 76% of the people right now into the jails are the under trials. Who are the under trials? These are those people whose crime has not been proved, but still they are in the jail. Why? Because they cannot afford bail. Many number of times they are poor people who are not educated, they don't know the legal process, so they are languishing in the jails. So there will be the provision for legal aid, parole, furlough, premature release, okay, incentivization of the good conduct. All these provisions will be there. So this Model Prison Act, I told you, will be a guiding document for the states. Why? Because ultimately prison is a state subject and the state needs to come out with a law on this. So this is the Model Prison Act. And guys, when we talk about the criminal justice system reforms, criminal justice system reform, criminal justice system reforms includes, number one, police. It includes police, then it includes the judiciary, and then third, it includes the prison. So criminal justice system reforms talks about bringing reforms at these three levels. So police reform is a altogether a different topic, and I think we have discussed it also multiple number of times. Then the judicial reforms, when we talk about it, we want to increase the number of judges, we want to increase the judicial infrastructure so that the pendency of the cases reduce down. Right now nearly 4 crore cases are pending in the Indian judicial setup. So judicial reforms are needed there. And then the prison reforms. Okay, so and for this prison reform, this Model Prison Act could be used by you as a way forward, as a solution in your answers. Okay, so that is about it. And now moving to the next article. Asymmetry power. Now, what this particular article is all about. So guys, this first of all, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to federalism. Now, first of all, let's recall the yesterday's newspaper analysis discussion. So yesterday we have discussed that the Supreme Court have come out with a judgment with respect to the Delhi government and central government, or Delhi government and lieutenant governor. Now what is this issue? So from the long period of time, there was a conflict between the Delhi government and the lieutenant governor, as who will control the civil servants, who will control the bureaucrats in the Delhi. So central government has a view that the lieutenant governor will control the bureaucrats, but Delhi government said that no, we will control the bureaucrats. So Delhi government has this particular viewpoint that every department is headed by a civil servant. Okay, and if these civil servants are being controlled by the lieutenant governor or by the central government, Delhi government will have no say in that. Okay, moreover, Delhi government also say this particular thing that basically from the past so many of the months, basically no department is hearing what Delhi government has to say. Why? Because the civil servants, they are acting on the behest of the lieutenant governor and the central government. So this matter got referred to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has yesterday said this particular thing, that elected government fine will have control over the administrative services. Elected government of Delhi, that is the Aam Aadmi Party, they will have control of the civil servants. However, they cannot control the civil servants in those departments which are dealing with these three subjects, that is public order, police and land. Why? Because guys, when we talk about the Article 239 AA, Article 239 AA, fine, specifically these three subjects have not been given to Delhi. So apart from these three subjects, all other departments, the civil servants, they will be controlled by the Delhi government. It will decide on their posting, their transfer and all those particular matters. So this is being said that it is a kind of a victory for the Aam Aadmi Party government. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now guys, this particular thing might be a point where the chief minister is feeling happy that finally they had got some kind of a legroom. But actually, when we talk about guys the nature of Indian federalism has been an asymmetrical federalism where the central government has much more power, and in the case of the Union Territory of Delhi, National Capital Territory of Delhi, they have even more power. Okay, and the article is actually saying that the struggle conflict is not over. Still, there is one more issue that is pending. Now, what is that one issue which is pending? Let me tell you this thing. So, on the bureaucrats, who will control? The Delhi government, Aam Aadmi Party government will control the bureaucrats, civil servants. Okay, this matter is finalized. But guys, there is also one more issue. Actually, what happened? What happened? When we talk about the Delhi government, whenever they used to pass a bill, the bill will be referred to the lieutenant governor. And lieutenant governor, what he is doing, every particular bill he is reserving, most of the bill he was reserving for the president. Okay, now we know that the president acts on the aid and advice of the council of minister at the center. So it means that every decision of the Delhi is indirectly being approved by the central government. Moreover, in day-to-day matters also, not particularly in the bills, in the day-to-day matters also, the LG used to obstruct that thing and used to reserve the day-to-day matters also for the President of India. So Delhi government says that then what is the logic of having an elected government? What is the logic of having a legislative council for the Delhi when no decision they can take? So this matter also reached to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court in 2018 had come out with the judgment. Okay, that is the government, that is the basically the NCT, that is the NCT judgment, National Capital Territory judgment of 2018. And in this particular judgment, Supreme Court very clearly said this thing, that the LG has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers of the Delhi, has to act on the aid and advice of the Delhi government and the Council of Ministers. They cannot, LG cannot reserve the every matter for the president. Okay, this is something that actually happened. This was again a kind of a victory for the Delhi Aam Aadmi Party government. But actually then guys, what happened? Actually then what happened, in order to overrule this particular Supreme Court judgment of 2018, the central government has come out with a new law, that is GNCTD, Governance of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Act 2021. Now what is this particular act? In very clear letters, this particular act had said that the word government of Delhi means the lieutenant governor. So whatever thing where the government of Delhi will decide, it will mean the lieutenant governor. So this is something in by which they have reversed the Supreme Court judgment. So wherever the word is mentioned that okay, this will be done Delhi by Delhi government, this will be done by Delhi government, it means that this will be done by the LG. So again they have made LG and indirectly central government as the most powerful one in the affairs of the Delhi. So this particular matter is also, this particular thing, this the validity of this provision is also challenged in the Supreme Court. Okay, and this is one more legal issue that will go on. Okay, so guys, we need to see that what now the Supreme Court will say in this direction. So these issues are going on, and when we talk about, guys, the asymmetrical federalism, often under the asymmetrical federalism, the center has tried to overpower its constituents, had tried to overpower the states, and particularly in the case of NCT, their power has often been reduced. So this is the issue. Now moving to the next article. Welcome initiative. Ayush collaboration with ICMR for scientific validation is a right step. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the public health. GS paper number 2, issues related to the public health. Now, what this particular article, guys, is all about, let me explain you. So basically, guys, the modern medication is called as allopathy. Modern medication is called as allopathy. And apart from modern medication, there is an alternative medication or a traditional medication. And in alternative traditional medications, we have in India Ayush. We have in India Ayush. A stands for Ayurveda, Y stands for Yoga, U stands for Unani, S stands for Siddha, and H stands for homeopathy. So Ayush, it is the system of a traditional or it is a system of the alternative medication. Now, when, guys, we talk about the treatment regimens that have been there, you either will take the traditional medication. Okay, some people believe more in Ayurveda and they take the entire treatment from Ayurveda only, or people just take the allopathic treatment. So it is allopathy versus traditional. Okay, you take this or you take this. Now from the past few years, there are actually the recommendations that have been given that now we should move on integrationist approach. What is integrationist approach? Why we don't combine both the allopathy and Ayurveda? Okay, so if we combine allopathy, Ayurveda, or the allopathy and the traditional medications, there are the better results of recovery. There are the better improvement that can be seen. So integrationist approach is being supported from the past few years. And now in order to implement that particular thing, what has happened? The Ministry of Ayush and ICMR, fine, Indian Council for Medical Research, they have basically joined hands together and they will start the clinical trials to generate evidence that if Ayurveda and modern medicine can be used together or not, and if they can be, if they are used together, whether it will help in the treatment or not. So scientific clinical trials will be started, which will prove that whether using all these methodologies together will be helpful or not. Now, guys, right now the first clinical trial that will start, it will be restricted to Ayurveda and modern medicine. Later we will be including the Unani, Siddha, homeopathy also, but right now the Ayurveda and allopathy will be combined. Moreover, an expert committee will be created which will decide that which disease or which area they will be taking up. So guys, whether the Ayurveda and allopathy will be taken up for diabetes, it will be taken for cardiovascular disease, it will be taken for hypertension, for what disease, what area, that will be decided over a course of time. Fine. Now guys, this is actually a very good thing, because if this scientific validation is given to the integrationist approach, then basically many benefits will come. First of all, guys, India has always been the hub of medical tourism, and many of the foreigners have come in India for the medical tourism. And if this integration of Ayurveda and allopathy is also there in the India, then nobody can beat India in medical tourism. Moreover, it will also be a better treatment regimen that will also get. Now, guys, as we talk about this particular development is also beneficial in one more direction. Basically, it can also become a starting point to undertake trials using Ayurveda interventions to evaluate their effectiveness. Now, understand this thing. Guys, when we talk about the Ayurveda is ancient wisdom. Ayurveda is based on to the ancient science, but it has not been validated into the modern times. And because of that particular thing, still there are very few takers of the Ayurveda. Now, as these clinical trials will start, we in a way also be able to effectively validate the efficiency of Ayurveda also. So Ayurveda will also be scientifically backed. This is going to be a very good thing, and many people will then be trusting more of the Ayurveda. Okay, so this is something that has happened, and the ICMR's expertise might and surely will be helping, and there will be some meaningful outcome that for sure will come. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. And now moving to the next article. Welfare spending. Welfare welfare spending has been getting a regular pruning. Okay, now what is this entire article, guys? See, in this entire article they have just done one thing, that is they have picked up certain schemes and they are comparing the budgetary allocation of the scheme in this year, in the recent times, and the budgetary allocation that was given around 2014 and 15. So the article is saying this particular thing, that actually between the period of 2004 to 2014, the 10-year largely when we have the UPA government, then there were more and more expenditure, more and more funding for the welfare schemes that were there. But actually in the last 10 years, that is from 2014-15 to the present times, the spending, the funding for the welfare schemes have been reduced. So those numbers and data are largely given in this particular article. So the article says that first of all, this particular year's union budget was criticized a lot because of the less funding that it has given for the welfareist schemes. Now let's take some specific example. So first of all, Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. So basically, guys, when we talk about the Saksham Anganwadi, so basically Anganwadi program, it is also called as the ICDS, that is the Integrated Child Development Services Scheme. Under the ICDS, 6 supplementary services are to be given to 3 type of people, that is the pregnant women, lactating mother, and children below the age of 6 years. What are these supplementary services? For example, the supplementary nutrition is to be given to them, non-formal education is to be given to them, vaccination, referral services. So these services were given under the ICDS, which was read by the Anganwadi worker. So therefore, sometimes ICDS is also called as the Anganwadi program. So Anganwadi, Saksham, Anganwadi, now recently this Anganwadi program has been renamed to the Saksham Anganwadi. What is Saksham Anganwadi? Saksham Anganwadi is the new age Anganwadis. Okay, so Saksham Anganwadi, Anganwadi program or ICDS program, it is one program. Recently this program has been merged with the Poshan 2.0. So Poshan 2.0 is the Poshan 2.0, it is also called as the National Nutrition Mission. Okay, so they have been merged. Okay, and along with that, recently nutrition scheme for adolescent girls have been merged. So 3 schemes, Saksham Anganwadi, Poshan 2.0 and the scheme for adolescent girls, recently they have been merged, but the funding has come down. So it is being said that in 2000 there was in 2014-15 0.13% of the GDP was given in this particular scheme, but now the funding has been reduced to 0.07%. 0.07%. So funding has been reduced by 50%. Then further this the article also says that as we talk about the National Family Health Survey 5, which was released recently, it provides that actually because of the nutrition, the health issues are very big challenge in India. For example, it says that anemia, underweight and stunting is a very big issue. 67% children are anemic. Anemia is when you are not able to consume adequate iron or leafy vegetables. Anemia, 67% children are anemic, 32% children are underweight, and 36% children are stunted. What is stunted? Stunting is the height to age ratio. So for a particular age, a particular height needs to be there. So that stunting is height to age. Okay, or age to height. So 36% children are stunted. Now this, all these conditions are directly related to the nutrition. Okay, and for that thing, Poshan 2.0, Saksham Anganwadi, nutrition scheme for adolescent girls, their funding has drastically been reduced. This should not have happened. Then guys, for the nutrition we have one more scheme, that is the midday meal scheme. So under the midday meal scheme, cooked lunch is to be provided to the school going students, and the midday meal scheme cater to 12 crore children, and because of the cooked meals that are being given, attendance has increased basically cognitive performance of the students have increased, and this scheme has been a very good one. But even for midday meal scheme, the allocation has been decreased. Just it was around 0.08% of GDP in 2014-15. It has been reduced to 0.04 in 23-24. Then there is Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Now under the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, there is 5,000 rupee benefit that will be given to the women for the one live birth. Okay, so 5,000 rupees benefit is given to the women for the live birth, one live birth. Okay, now basically this scheme is available to the women in the unorganized sector. Okay, now guys, this particular scheme, now basically if all the women are to be reached, at least 14,000 crore rupees are needed, but scheme has not, the funding has not crossed any time above 3,000 crore rupees. So again here also the funding mismatch is there. Then further it says that when we talk about the working class, for their protection also, there are the multiple schemes that are there. For example, MG Narega is one of a scheme. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So for the MG Narega, which provides 100 days of guaranteed paid employment for unskilled work to every household, not a person, every household, to every household in the rural area. For this particular scheme, fine, the funding was 0.26% of GDP in 2014-15. It has reduced to just 0.20%. Here also the funding has come. Okay, National Food Security Act, for that also the funding has reduced from 0.94% to 0.65%. So every scheme, the welfare scheme, most of the important flagship welfare schemes, the funding has been reduced. Moreover, even when we talk about the real wages for the workers, it is not increasing at a very good rate. According to the social economist John Dries, he says this thing that real wages of the casual workers grew at less than 1% per year between this particular period. Okay, so this is the issue. Then guys, the National Social Assistance Program. So under National Social Assistance Program, different type of pensions are provided. Pension is provided to the elderly, widow, disabled individuals below poverty line, and the families who have lost their breadwinner. So them the fund pensions are provided. So the allocation has reduced from 0.06% to 0.03%. So in most of the social welfare scheme, the reduction of 50% of the funding has actually happened. However, under the healthcare, the expenditure have increased under the present government. It says that it went up from 0.25% to 0.3%. However, even according to the State of the World Children Report, which is released by the UNICEF, Status of the World Children Report released by UNICEF, it is also said that India also has the lowest vaccination rates in the entire South Asia. Out of pocket expenditure in India is high. So the article is saying this particular thing, that government is not adequately focusing on the development, on the welfare schemes. Fine. So this is something that has happened. Now further the article says that the present government is largely focusing on delivering the tangible goods. Okay, now it is being said that it is the new welfareism of the right. Now see this thing, it is said that if you spend more on health, if you spend more on education, it is not a tangible expenditure. What is a tangible? Tangible means something which I can touch, something which is clearly visible. So now it is being said that government is spending more on the cooking fuel, cylinder, electricity, financial inclusion of the women. These are the schemes which are more visible. So on them, more and more money is being spent. And because of less spending on the socio-economic, social developmental scheme, India's rank on the HDI is declining. According to World Social Protection Report, which is released by the ILO, 24.8% of Indians are covered by at least one social security scheme, and average in Asia Pacific is 44%. Because of this thing, India's rank at HDI, Human Development Index, is also 132, which is not very good one. Okay, so these are guys all the issues in this particular direction. Fine, I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article, that is Diagnostic Imaging of the Rajasthan Right to Health Act. Now again, this article will see with respect to the public health GS paper number 2. Okay, there is one question, sir. Is it mandatory for state to adopt a model prison act made by center? No, it is not mandatory. The prison is a state subject, so just it is recommendatory. If the states want, they can follow it, but it's not compulsory that they have to accept it. Now moving to the next article, Moving to the next article. Okay. Now, what this guys particularly article is talking about? The article is talking about the Rajasthan's Right to Health Act. Now, see this thing. First of all, guys, understand this thing. When we talk about the Right to Health Act of Rajasthan, it can be a good case study that can be referred in your answers, that other states should adopt it, and the center government also should come out with a pan-India law. Now, as this particular act has been passed, before this particular act, there was a bill. So there was the bill version 1, then this particular bill got amended, and there was the final iteration of the bill that came. So this article is comparing the first version of the bill with the second version of the bill. Okay, which is not at all important for our examination. We need to see the broad contours of the act. Moreover, when it is a state legislation, we just need to see an act so that we can use it as a case study, as an example. So going too much in detail, doing too much of the PhD is not at all important. Please guys, don't even read this particular article. But I here have a complete note on what is this Right to Health Act of Rajasthan is, what are the issues, why the doctors are protesting, what are the problems, what are the good things. So that is something which we need to see. Okay, so when we talk about the Rajasthan Right to Health Act, so this act recently was passed by the Rajasthan government, and this particular act, first of all, this particular act addressed the issues of access and affordability of the health care. Now, this particular act seeks to provide the protection of the fulfillment of the fundamental right of health. Now, first of all, right to health is not specifically mentioned in the Constitution of India, but under multiple judgments of the Supreme Court, that is the Bandhua Mukti Morcha judgment of the Supreme Court has recognized that under Article 21, right to life, right to health is integrated. Okay, so in order to give the fundamental right to health, Rajasthan government has come out with this particular act. Now, this particular act, guys, what it provides, this particular act provides that that the healthcare is to be provided, keeping in mind the equity. Moreover, it has also been provided that first of all, it has been provided that there will be the social audit of the hospitals, medical facilities that will happen, that whether they are providing the good services or not. Then there will be the grievance redressal mechanism. Fine. If a person has went to a hospital, have took some kind of a health care but is not satisfied, then there will be grievance redressal. Then there is the then every resident of the state has the right to emergency treatment without paying a single paisa. Okay, so if a person needs a treatment urgently but is not having the money, that particular person cannot be denied the health care. So there will be the right to emergency treatment without paying a single paisa to the healthcare institution. Even the private healthcare institution, they will not ask the money if a person cannot pay. They have to treat that particular person. But the state government says that we will compensate for the charges incurred on the treatment. Government will compensate that particular charge. The person will not be forced to pay. So these are all the provisions of this particular act. But the doctors have not liked it, and the doctors, they have come out and they are protesting. Now, what are the protests for the doctors? Now, number one, they say this particular thing, that first of all, they were distrustful of the government's promise of recompensating. They say that we don't trust that the government will reimburse. What is the guarantee that they will reimburse? This is one issue. Second issue, guys, that they say is that basically that healthcare is the right of the people and the state government should give it. State government should open their hospitals through their dispensaries. They should give it. Why they are putting the burden on the private healthcare institutions? Okay, this is also. Moreover, in 1989, the Supreme Court has observed that every injured citizen brought for medical treatment should instantaneously be given medical aid to preserve life and to preserve the life. So Supreme Court had said, so therefore the state government puts that private sector also have to fulfill, but private sector says that why you are putting responsibility on us? Fine. So this is the contention between the state government and the private sector health providers that is there. Okay. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now moving to the next article. Lack of committees against sexual harassment is disquieting, says the Supreme Court. Now, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 1, GS paper number 2, issues related to the women. Okay. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about India, female labor force participation rate female labor force participation rate is just 25.1%. And we want that at least it should go to 60 to 70%. It will help in economic growth of India as well, when more and more women will come out and will participate in the work. Now you need to think that why women are not coming and are not participating in economic activity. Number one, there are the social reasons. Social reasons, they are expected to be the care providers, they are expected to be the ones who will do all the domestic work. This is one social reason. Second is that there are not the jobs available for women. Third, sexual harassment of the women at the workplace, due to which many of the women, they drop or they are not confident in going to the workplace. Now, in order to deal with this particular thing, we already had one particular act that was brought after the Vishaka guidelines that were given, that is the Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment Act, POSH Act. Okay, Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment Act. Now, under this particular act, it is provided that at the workplace there needs to be an internal complaint committee which needs to have the women member also. And if a woman faces any kind of sexual harassment, now see, it is not only the basically sexual harassment could be one when a woman has been verbally harassed, when a woman is physically sexually harassed, if some kind of an unwanted gestures are being made to the women, if some kind of a sexual favor is being asked, if some unwanted advance is being made towards the women, all these particular matters women can approach to this internal complaint committee that is to be created under this POSH Act. Now, actually, the Supreme Court has observed this particular thing. See, that whenever a woman becomes the victim of the sexual abuse, okay, it doesn't only dent her self-esteem, okay, it also takes a toll on her emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Okay, and often women are reluctant to report such instances. Number one, because there is an uncertainty that where they should go, or there is not even the confidence in the process that actually the person will be punished. Okay. Fine. Now, recently, the Supreme Court has also given the example of a newspaper survey where it was revealed that out of the 30 national sports federations in the country, only 16 had constituted this internal complaint committee, which was mandatory. So, Supreme Court, what it had said, Supreme Court has said that all the organizations where the women are working, all the organizations in A need to constitute all the committees immediately, ASAP. Internal complaint committee, local committee, all these committees need to be constituted immediately. They need to be publicized. They need to be publicized so that the women know about that, and there should also be fair trial under these committees that should happen. See, so this is a kind of a nudge reminder that has been given by the Supreme Court. So they said that these committees are not present most of the time, which is very disheartening. Fine. So this is all what has been provided here. Now guys, one more thing I am telling you, that these reminders come from time to time by the Supreme Court. For example, POSH Act, POXO Act. These reminders, they do come from time to time. So you just need to, if a question comes, you just need to put that recently Supreme Court also have highlighted this particular issue. Then the main practice question for the today. So today's main practice question, it reads, asymmetric federalism has been a positive feature for India's polity, but even the most pragmatic arrangement may not always guarantee harmonious relation between the center and its constituent units. Comment. So it is in the context of the New Delhi, Delhi government versus LG issue. It will be a GS paper number 2, 10 marker question. So that is all guys about it. Okay. Now, I hope guys that you have understood this entire issue. And with this, we come to end to the today's session. Now guys, we'll be meeting on Monday. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much guys. And please, keep Sunday as a day for revision of all the week's current affairs. Why? Because 99.9% of the students, what is the problem? Problem is that we are always reading new things, but we are not consolidating the things that we have done already in the past. Fine. So that is all guys about it. Can we use name of political leader in question? Please don't use the name of the contemporary political leaders. Fine. Okay guys, thank you so much.